Hey everybody, it's ZM, and earlier today we got a new trailer for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, thanks to the newest Nintendo Direct. And in this trailer, there's a lot of new information to take from it, so in this video we're going to be breaking it down piece by piece and taking a closer look at everything this trailer has to offer. Now, the trailer starts off with a shot of Hyrule in the rain, and let me just say this off the bat that I'm not looking forward to it raining in the sequel as it was so annoying in Breath of the Wild. And in the shot we see something mysterious that we have seen in past trailers. That being the mysterious spiral of light that seems to be coming out of the ground, and it seems like there's gonna be a lot of those scattered throughout Hyrule. And also in the shot we see Death Mountain from a distance, and it seems to be emitting some strange red-like malice energy. It definitely doesn't look like how normally Death Mountain looks like when active. We then see a shot of what seems to be new enemies for the sequel, and that seems to be these frog-like bat enemies. They sorta remind me of the gecko enemy from Majora's Mask, mainly because they somewhat look like a frog, but obviously this time they can fly. And I want to say they are flying right above the military training camp, as you can see by the broken outposts, and we're actually going to see a lot of past locations from Breath of the Wild in this trailer. And then we see a shot of two towers surrounded by beams of light, and it seems like these aren't Sheikah towers whatsoever, as you can tell by the structure, but it seems like they'll be replacing them throughout Hyrule. We also see a mysterious pattern that lights from the ground, and this is something that we've seen in previous trailers that are clearly meant to be seen at from a higher point of view. The shot also shows us the giant hurricane that seems to be plaguing Hyrule, and we've seen this hurricane from different angles, but you could see a much better view of it when the lightning strikes and we get better lighting. We then see a shot of what the view might look like from one of the islands up above looking down at Hyrule. And this is where things get interesting, because this shot Hyrule looks completely different. It does seem like this is on the surface, with a lot of malice on the floor, and also these enemies, which are Lizalfos and Bokoblins, and what seems like Dekubabas now, are all corrupted with malice. And because of this malice, it seems like the enemies have changed into a much more corrupt version of themselves.
Rise, rise, my servants.
We then hear a voice that is most likely Ganon telling his servants to rise. And in this next shot we see what looks like a three-headed beast, maybe a dragon. It could be a reference to Gleeok from the original Legend of Zelda, but it seems to be standing on the bridge of Lake Hylia, possibly guarding it.
Sweep over Hyrule. Eliminate this kingdom and her allies.
We then get a shot of Haytano Village looking down from the Sheikah Tech Lab. The village itself doesn't look much different than before, but we can see again one of those spiraling green lights coming from the surface.
Eliminate this kingdom and her allies. Leave no survivors.
We then lead to a few shots of the Blood Moon while hearing Ganondorf's rage. And from the Blood Moon rising, we see that the Blood Moon itself is actually shooting out the malice all over Hyrule. And then we get a small glimpse of what could be Ganondorf regaining his power as we see a red ball of light just kind of explode. Though in the silhouette you see multiple hands, so it kind of looks like it could be a guardian or maybe some kind of Calamity Ganon concoction. We're not entirely sure, but the possibility of it being a new enemy entirely is also there. It then cuts to a scene of what could be an even bigger Talus-like enemy, or maybe just parts of Death Mountain crumbling. As we then see a similar shot of Hyrule rising, and then a shot of the Great Plateau during the Blood Moon, and we can see in the far off distance one of those patterns that are clearly meant to be viewed from high up. And here we see a better look of what the malice that is shooting out of the Blood Moon creates, and that is actual enemies. Yes, it seems like Bokoblins are going to be shooting right out of the Blood Moon, and these Bokoblins seem to have horns on them. It kind of looks like swords coming right out of their forehead. And as more malice shoots, we see a new Bokoblin type enemy, just a much bigger and fatter one. I'm assuming this is going to be the captain of certain groups. And it is confirmed that this actually is a Bokoblin, just a bigger one, as Nintendo has tweeted a official artwork for it, and it does say it's a bokoblin. We then see a new enemy entirely, rather what could be a reoccurring enemy from a previous game, and that being the Redeads. Yes, this enemy here, especially by its face and very skeletal figure, must be a Redead finally in Breath of the Wild, and I love this design. It then cuts to Link riding on what seems to be Epona, and hopefully that actually is her, because yeah, in Breath of the Wild you could only obtain Epona through an Amiibo. So hopefully with seeing Epona in this trailer, maybe we'll actually be able to unlock her through a quest in the actual game. And then in what seems to be in the Gerudo Canyon / desert area, we can see a small little hideout that I believe we get a closer look at in the next shot. With Link standing in this hideout of what seems to be owned by the Sheikah, or maybe the Yiga, before he then gets grabbed by a bunch of Guardian arms. We then see a better shot of this newer and bigger bokoblin with a bunch of smaller ones on his side, blowing his horn similar to how they've done before, clearly alerting their group that Link is near. And since enemies like the bokoblins now have swords and horns coming out of their heads, it seems like Hinox has also got his own treatment of that. But instead it's just a log with spikes, but still hilarious nonetheless. We then see a grand shot of Link running and then gliding his way through what clearly is the Thundra Plateau. With then another glimpse of Link most likely on Epona, and a view of how barren Hyrule is really looking. And it seems like Link isn't going to be the only one reaching the sky, as we can see the bokoblin being carried by one of these new flying type enemies. And then here we get a better view of the moblins with their silly hat. I don't know why this kind of looks like a new hairdo for them. It doesn't look nearly as badass as the horns the bokoblins were given. And here's a glimpse of some of that new technology that seems to be playing a big part within this game, as Link is up against a box-like creature, literally just a bunch of boxes connected together, clearly by the power of the green aura that Link also uses. And then we get a shot of Ganondorf's withered husk, as it seems to be coming to life once more. With then a view of when presumably Ganondorf lifts up Hyrule. And then a close-up of his face, and let me say, wow, he looks frightening.
But Link, I am not sure you'll be able to stop him.
In the next scene we hear Zelda, but full of doubt, as she tells Link she's not sure that Link can even stop Ganondorf this time around. But Link, like he was in Breath of the Wild, completely expressionless, not giving a crap, just jumps off and dives into Hyrule. And from here we can see how high up Link really is, while also seeing something red in the distance, but really hard to make out because of the game's fog. And then a far off shot of Link running on a cliff, and we can also see one of those patterns that will probably light up at night, and again is probably meant to be seen really high up, as it will be hard to make out what this pattern is really trying to show us from up close or on the surface. And here we can see Link take on one of these new flying type enemies with one of his new powers, as he probably imbues the arrow with some kind of magic that becomes a homing missile and goes straight for the enemy, killing it. And here we can see that Link won't just be exploring islands up in the sky, but there seems to be a lot more to do with the mountains, as we can see a railway. And let me not forget to point out that Link is literally grinding on the rail with his shield, which is so badass, like Link has now become Sonic. We then see Link use his hand once again with the magic green power, but this time using a magnesis type ability, as again, instead of using the Sheikah Slate, he seems to have Sheikah-like abilities, but this time in his hand. And then we get a shot of Link in a full-on cave. I hope we actually get caves to explore within this game. But what's even cooler to point out is how Link's weapon is not just a hammer, as it seemed like Link was gonna miss his strike, but no, instead he shoots from the hammer, as it's a cannon as well, a giant ball that's going straight for the Talus's weak point. And here we see what is most likely Zelda having awoken even more powers and is probably waiting for Link to once again meet her. Now we can't be certain that this is Zelda, but it is worth noting that we can't actually see her hair, and that might be because of Zelda's haircut. So if this is Zelda, it would make sense in why her hair isn't coming down to her torso. And if it is Zelda, then it seems like eventually they will reunite, but this time with Link using the power of his newly found hand. And then a shot of Link probably admiring these new powers that he has in his hands. And then we see a shot of Link on the Great Plateau in the same area where you used the Magnesis ability to find a chest in the mud. This time Link found a tire with his Magnesis-like hand ability. And if you thought it was weird for Link to pull out a tire, we figure out what it's used for, and that is, yes, Link can create his own car with it. I really hope that you can actually assemble the car all together and not just need to put the tires together to get it moving. Hopefully with this concept it will give us a bunch of unique ways to kind of traverse Hyrule, really giving it that sandbox feel that Breath of the Wild has, but in even greater detail. And speaking of a new vehicle, we also see that Link now has a hot air balloon that he probably can create as well to reach higher in the sky. And the new vehicles don't stop there, as we can see Link riding another one with a bunch of fans that are propelling him upwards as he controls it, and it looks absolutely insane. And then another grand shot of Hyrule before the logo appears, but during that we see a box falling from the sky with the greenish blue aura that we seem to be seeing a lot of throughout this game. Now the trailer isn't over, as we see a small teaser of when Link encounters Ganondorf's body. And in this shot we can actually see Link's hand is already destroyed or probably fused with whatever that hand's power is, but the Master Sword actually is corrupt, and I'm assuming this is right before the Master Sword breaks entirely and Link has to eventually reforge it throughout the game. And here you can see that the new arm that Link has gotten isn't just up to his arm, it's actually all the way past his shoulder. But I assume that the corruption that's on him eventually heals itself, as while it reaches all the way up to his shoulder, we've seen that the hand had never really reached that far before. So maybe this is Nintendo's way of indicating that Link is sort of bruised and eventually some of that gray heals itself as it goes down to just the arm. But then the shot shows Link leaping as he goes to save Zelda, of course. This shot looking a lot different than how it looked like way back in 2019 during the first trailer when Link tried to save Zelda.
Please, lend him your power.
Zelda then mentions for someone to lend their power to him, which is presumably Link, and that power may be the power that was in Link's arm. And then the trailer ends off with a zoomed out shot of Link attempting to save Zelda. Most likely where they split up and where Link has to awaken anew with these newfound powers to once again save her. But yes, that was it. That was the trailer. While vague like the rest, this still was the most content we've gotten out of any of the other trailers, so overall I am really happy with it. Now along with that we also got confirmation on pre-order and a new Amiibo that will be coming out along with the game, and a special edition. And for those wondering what the Amiibo will do, well, it will actually give you more gear, kind of like how it did in Breath of the Wild, along with paraglider skins. As we can see from these 4 examples, yes, you can even get a Majora-like paraglider, which I find pretty badass. Nintendo also revealed official artwork for both Link and Zelda, and the Bokoblin as mentioned. And a better view of the Master Sword. And you can actually view and pre-order the game now on the eShop, though it's worth noting the game is now $70 instead of the $60 standard most Switch games are usually for. But trust me, I doubt that $10 will really mean much, as you know this game will be worth it, if not more. And it seems like the sequel is really meant to just expand on Breath of the Wild, while not really adding much new, but give us just more freedom, as the game was an amazing sandbox just to mess around in. And with these new vehicles, I assume Nintendo's really gonna double down on that and make it even more fun just to kind of mess around and create your own adventure. So honestly, I really do believe that this game has the potential to top Breath of the Wild and just add way more to it, making the original game hard to come back to because of all the new extra things that you can do in this game. Hopefully I stand corrected, but let me know what you guys think of the game so far. And please let me know if you think I forgot to point out anything, as I can always make a follow-up video and theories on all of this. Overall, I have a couple more videos planned regarding this trailer, so please be on the lookout for them. Anyways, that about does it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to leave a like if you are excited for this game. And stay tuned for my full Let's Play and tons more content covering this game when it comes out. As always, I've been ZM, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.